After months of delay, it looks like the House will finally pass much needed foreign aid for the embattled nation of Ukraine. Today, the House voted 316 to 94 to allow for separate votes on bills to fund Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. It now looks like the House will pass each of those aid bills tomorrow, or they'll certainly try to, but the drama in the House is far from over. Today, the far-right Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar announced that he would be joining his colleagues Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie of Kentucky in supporting a measure to oust the Speaker, Mike Johnson, which is a so-called motion to vacate. If all Democrats vote together against the Speaker, Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 2 Republican votes to save his seat. And Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher is expected to leave Congress sometime after this weekend's votes, after which the Speaker, Johnson, can only afford to lose a single vote. Despite that razor-thin margin, the Speaker is projecting confidence that he's going to stay in the job.
Are you worried about your job?
No, don't worry. I just do my job.
Is it time to call MTG's bluff and just put the motion to vacate on the floor?
Look, we'll see what happens. I'm going to do my job. I'm not deterred by threats, and we're going to do the right thing and let the chips fall where they may.
With three Republicans now seemingly committed to ousting Johnson, the Speaker will need help from Democrats in order to stay in his job. So will any of them help him? Today, the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, kept reporters in suspense about what he and his caucus plan to do.
At the appropriate time, as House Democrats, we will have a conversation about how to deal with any hypothetical motion to vacate. Moskow, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massie, and Gosar are quite a group, and I'm sure that will play some role in our conversation.
Joining us now, Congressman Jim Himes, Democrat of Connecticut and the ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, good to see you again. Thank you for being with us. What a several months this has been. Mike Johnson went from being a backbencher to somebody who's now privy to sensitive intelligence about our foreign adversaries. I don't know. Did that contribute to his change of heart on the need to pass this Ukraine aid bill? Because he was a holdout himself.
Yeah, I think it did. I really think it did. And look, I don't think I agree with Speaker Johnson on anything political. But I will say that he said 2 months ago, we're going to pass the budget, and we had a whole, freak out over whether there could be a shutdown. He said we would pass 702 FISA, which we did last week in the House. And now I think we're going to pass UK and Israel as supplemental. And it has all gotten done. So, again, I don't think I agree with a thing he thinks politically. But, he appears to do what he says he's going to do. And he's gotten stuff done. And yes, of course, he's going to be threatened by, I love the way Hakeem put it, quite a group, the absolute most fringy members of Congress.
So talk to me about the logic. And some of the logic is, I suppose, when the election comes around, Democrats can say the business of America needs to be done, and we supported the business of America being done. On the other hand, Mike Johnson has been, and continues to be an election denier, an ally of Donald Trump's. What's in it for Republicans to help him?
You mean Democrats?
I'm sorry. Yes. What's in it for Democrats? Thank you.
Is for us to be. Yeah. And in fact, I think his problem is maybe more with Republicans than it is with Democrats. But the answer, Ali, is very, very clear, which is we demonstrated in the last Congress that we are the bipartisan party of getting stuff done. We got the bipartisan infrastructure law done after it was a joke for years and years. We got the Inflation Reduction Act, which, capped insulin at $35 a month for diabetics. I could go on about this. The PACT Act, which protected our veterans. We showed in the last Congress that almost everything we accomplished was bipartisan. And then in this Congress, imagine going into November and being able to say that the only reason in the last Congress anything got done, that a government shutdown was averted, that Ukraine aid was provided, et cetera, was because the Democrats were willing to work with a speaker who, just as you say, is ideologically everything that we do not believe in. But you asked a political question. What's in it for us is to demonstrate time and time again that we're about getting things done for the American people, not about partisan posturing or social media antics a la Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Is there an abiding fear? Do you think about or worry about or care that if Mike Johnson disappears, someone less palatable shows up in his job?
Well, what we know for sure, because we've seen this movie before when Kevin McCarthy was defenestrated, what we know for sure is that that means a period of abject chaos. You know, it was 3 weeks in the case of Speaker McCarthy before Mike Johnson was finally voted in. And look, there is a tension. There is a tension here, right? I mean, it is not our job as Democrats to save Republicans from their manifest dysfunction. On the other hand, if you set aside our partisan interest, which I think we regularly do, we are about delivering. And so we delivered the rule today. More Democrats voted for a Republican rule. This is unheard of, Ali. More Democrats voted for a Republican rule than Republicans did. And I think that in tomorrow, we will be the margin of victory for aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel, and humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza.
Now, in order to do that, to save Mike Johnson and to get what you just said, the aid to Ukraine, aid to Taiwan, aid to Israel, do Democrats discuss now wanting more out of this deal? I mean, like they would if this were a minority government in a parliamentarian in a parliamentary situation. I mean, is this going to be on a piecemeal basis for these three bills, or is there going to be a larger discussion between Hakeem Jeffries and leadership and Mike Johnson's team to say this is what going forward looks like for us?
Yeah, I think that conversation is inevitable because tomorrow I think we will pass all these bills with a supermajority, and that's a whole other conversation. Imagine a majoritarian body in a democracy held up by 3 or 4 fringe members, and then when the vote actually happens on Ukraine or Israel, you have a massive majority in support. But to your question, yes, there's very little doubt in my mind that after these things pass, Marjorie Taylor Greene or Paul Gosar or one of those guys is going to call for a motion to vacate. Now, we won't have to deal with it tomorrow. We'll deal with it when we come back. But yes, that's the moment when we say, when presumably Speaker Johnson goes to Hakeem Jeffries and say, hey, look, you know, who knows what's going to happen? I could be replaced with somebody you can't work with. We could have weeks and weeks and weeks of dysfunction. Let's talk about what the Democrats do to protect my job. That'll be fascinating. And you labeled it exactly what it would be. It would be a sort of a coalition government, which, by the way, will be appalling to a lot of members of the majority. But guess what, guys? You had a majority and you screwed it up. So, you know, I think there's a conversation to be had there. Obviously, it will be had by Hakeem Jeffries. And, you know, look, I'm a pragmatist. So if that results in us getting more things done on the other side of this Ukraine vote, you know, that's something we should absolutely consider.
Thank you, sir, for your analysis and your time. We always appreciate it. Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut is the House Intelligence Committee ranking member. Thank you, sir. Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.